Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Bad Boys landed in 1995 and blew the buddy cop genre wide open. Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, Miami. And behind the explosions and the swagger are 22 secrets this film never told you. The original stars never showed up. The director paid for his own ending. A stuntman fell off a moving truck with nothing but a plank of wood to break his fall. A prop weapon sent the lead actress to hospital. And a bodyguard ended up playing the villain. And fact 22, the darkest secret of all, the one that changes everything. This is Rewatch Vault. Fact 1, the stars were never the plan. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence were not the first choice, not even close. When Bad Boys, then called Bulletproof Heart, was in development at Disney's Hollywood Pictures, the two men lined up to lead it were Saturday Night Live veterans John Lovitz and Dana Carvey. The film was being built around their specific rhythms. Lovitz later admitted the script was awful, but he was committed. Carvey was in. A February 1993 shoot was set. Then producer Don Simpson took them both to Las Vegas. Simpson's behavior on that trip was too much for Carvey. He walked away. Lovitz, without his partner, followed. Disney lost confidence and placed the film in turnaround. Hollywood's waiting room for projects nobody believes in anymore. Columbia Pictures bought the rights. Their head of production, Barry Josephson, made one decisive call: recast it with black actors. Not a vague suggestion, a specific directive. Eddie Murphy and Wesley Snipes were considered next. Murphy's price was too high. Snipes moved on. Arsenio Hall was then offered the Lowry role. He turned it down, and has since called it the single worst professional decision of his life. The project passed to Smith, spotted not in an audition, but by one episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that Bay happened to watch.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down.
Lawrence had his own idea about who should play opposite him. He wanted Eddie Murphy. His sister Ray arranged one dinner with Will Smith. 5 minutes in, Lawrence was sold. One conversation, that was it. A billion-dollar franchise, born from a Vegas trip, 3 rejections, and 1 family dinner.
What, I'm supposed to apologize for my family leaving me money? All I ever wanted to be was a cop.
Fact 2, the script nobody liked. Bay has never hidden his feelings. The script was garbage. His words on the DVD commentary were blunt. Bad Boys was a very bad script, let's face it. The problem traced directly back to Bulletproof Hearts, a screenplay written for 2 white Saturday Night Live performers with very specific comic timing. When Smith and Lawrence stepped into those roles, the dialogue simply didn't fit them.
Can you please do some work? One time today, just do something. I'm gonna do something that helps this case.
Bay's own commentary said it plainly. It was written so white. The solution was daily improvisation. Bay would sit with Smith and Lawrence in his trailer on shoot mornings, and they would rewrite scenes before cameras rolled. Columbia had given them $10,000 for script rewrites, for a major studio action film. Bay's response, make it up on the day, keep shooting, trust the performers. The chaos became a creative method. Every scene that crackles, every exchange that feels lived in, came from 2 performers given freedom to find what was real, backed by a director desperate enough to let them. Bay called it garbage. Lovitz called it awful. The film made $141 million. Which one of them was right? Drop it in the comments and subscribe if you haven't already. Fact 3, the first timer who refused to back down. Before Bad Boys, Michael Bay had never directed a feature film. He came from commercials and music videos. Nike, Reebok, Tina Turner. Exceptional at his craft, but nobody had handed him a $19 million action film before. The studio wasn't behind him. Don Simpson handed Bay 85 pages of script problems 2 days before cameras rolled. Bay threw them back, threatened to walk, then doubled down. That refusal to break is in every frame. The kinetic editing, the circular camera moves, the way Miami feels expensive when the budget was anything but that. A director who wouldn't be told how to do his job. Sound familiar?
Not about your french fries, it's about your lack of respect for other people's property.
He'd already refused to walk. Now he was about to reach into his own pocket. Stay for fact 11. An actress ended up in hospital on this shoot. Fact 4. Mom said it was too much. He listened. After Bay filmed the new opening scene, he showed it to his mom. Harriet Bay watched the sequence and had one note. Too much. The original cut contained 18 F-bombs in 30 seconds. Not a note from a studio exec, not test screening data. His mom, Bay, went back and cut 6 of them. The final version has 12, which, for 30 seconds of a mainstream 1995 action film, is still a striking number. If Harriet Bay found 12 manageable, the original 18 must have been something else entirely. The director, who would go on to make Armageddon and The Rock, softened his opening scene because his mom asked him to. Probably the most human editorial note in big-budget cinema history. Fact 5. The Porsche in his garage. The production couldn't afford a decent car. The budget was already stretched thin. Porsche had no interest in sponsoring a low-budget film fronted by a first-time director, so Bay did the only practical thing. He drove his own 1994 Porsche 911 Turbo to set and put it in the film. His car, his risk, his paintwork in every chase. The result changed how the vehicle was shot. Bay knew every angle of that car. How it sat, how it sounded, how the Miami sun caught its bodywork. That intimacy shows on screen. The Porsche sequences in Bad Boys feel like a director filming something he genuinely loves. Because he did. Porsche, who declined to help at the start, partnered with every sequel that followed. The original car was sold at auction in 2022 with certificates from both Porsche and Bruckheimer's production company. From unsponsored reject to verified franchise relic. Fact 6. The director paid for the finale himself. The studio said no. Budget gone. The climactic hangar sequence at Opa-locka Airport wasn't going to happen. Bay reached into his own pocket. He paid $25,000 of his directing fee to fund the reshoot. That was exactly 1/4 of everything he earned for making the film. He covered the crew's overtime on top of that. A first-time director, he already under fire from all sides, chose to pay for the last scene of his own film because he wouldn't settle for what already existed. The finale audiences remember what exists because Bay wrote a personal check. The money was spent. Bay wasn't done pushing his luck. Fact 9 is coming and it's the most quoted scene in the franchise. Fact 7. The opening scene didn't exist when the film wrapped. When principal photography finished in Miami on August 31st, 1994, the carjacking scene that opens the film did not exist. Test audiences gave their verdict. The opening wasn't landing. The film needed to grab people faster, something that put their chemistry front and center before the plot began. Columbia agreed. Weeks later, with the film technically complete, the production flew to Los Angeles and shot the opening from scratch. Two men arguing about a burger. A carjacker pulls a weapon. Lawrence kicks him somewhere painful. Smith decks the other, and Lawrence shouts. Entirely unscripted.
Wesley Snipes, passenger 57. Now give me a handy wipe.
That line is a reference. Wesley Snipes, one of the men almost cast in this film, name-checked by the character he might have played. The opening everyone remembers was an afterthought, engineered to hook. It worked completely. Fact 8. The director secretly wound up his own cast. Bay wanted real emotion, so he manufactured it. Before the famous car scene, the one that gave the film one of its most quoted exchanges, Bay pulled Smith aside privately and told him to call Lawrence a specific, deeply offensive name. Without warning, without telling Lawrence it was coming. Lawrence's reaction was not performance, he was genuinely angry. The improvised back and forth that followed.
I'll take me and you off this cliff, keep with me, alright? Then it'll be what, 2 in the sea.
Came directly from that real anger boiling over into character. Bay kept the cameras running. He knew exactly what he had. Lawrence later said he told Bay he wanted to punch Smith for real. Bay considered that a result. He used the same method with Téa Leoni, privately instructing her to question Lawrence's character's sexuality on camera.
You know, I thought that maybe you were gay.
I was gay. Nah, baby.
Knowing it would trigger a genuine, unguarded reaction. Again, real moment, kept in the film. Bay wasn't directing actors, he was engineering situations where they couldn't help but be authentic. Fact 9. The convenience store scene was pure instinct. No script, no direction. Two comedians left alone with a live camera. The moment the clerk produces a weapon, everything that followed came from thin air. Smith and Lawrence had been told to play. They found what felt true. Smith turned to the gunman.
Back up, put the gun down, and give me a pack of tropical fruit bubblicious.
Lawrence added.
And some Skittles.
Bay watched through the monitor and kept rolling. He didn't redirect, he just let it run. That candy negotiation, quoted by fans for many to come years, was never in any draft of any script. It was two professionals in a room making something better than anything written down. An actress ended up in hospital. A car got smashed and had to be hidden. A stuntman fell off a truck at 30 miles an hour. Subscribe. It gets worse before it gets better. Fact 10. The boxer who couldn't hit the bag. There's a scene early in the film where Marcus fumbles with a punch bag in a Miami gym. Awkward, self-conscious, out of place. Martin Lawrence was a real boxer. Before comedy, before acting, before Martin and Bad Boys and everything that followed. Lawrence was a Mid-Atlantic Golden Gloves boxing contender in Maryland. He had ring experience. He could handle himself. Bay knew this. He kept the fumbling in deliberately. The man genuinely skilled at boxing, playing a character who couldn't manage a punch bag. The joke was visible only to people who knew Lawrence's history. That is the kind of layered detail that separates a film people rewatch from one they forget. Fact 11. The actress who ended up in hospital. Téa Leoni played Julie Mott. The woman caught in the middle, running from killers, dragged through one dangerous situation after another. She later described filming Bad Boys as a really hard experience. The window stunt she could handle, that wasn't what sent her to hospital. The culprit was a prop AK-47. A stunt double was working with a prop rifle. Leone was fractionally out of position. The prop rifle connected under her jaw with enough force that her legs went over her head and she landed flat on her back. She lost consciousness briefly. No memory of the immediate aftermath. Taken to hospital, Bay reportedly panicked. He understood immediately how much worse it could have been. Halfway. Stick around for Fact 19. It will change how you see the ending of this film. Fact 12. The Cobra that crashed and had to be hidden. Fouché drives a Shelby Cobra throughout the film. Rare, expensive, visually perfect for a villain with taste. During one stunt, the car was supposed to reverse out of an aircraft. It was damaged, not destroyed, cosmetically compromised in a way that showed on camera. The budget didn't allow for an immediate replacement, so the production did the only thing available. Every subsequent shot of the Cobra was a tight close-up. Wheel arch, steering wheel, dashboard, anything that avoided the damaged section, the audience never notices, but knowing it changes how you watch those sequences. A director solving a financial emergency in real time, one carefully framed shot at a time. Fact 13. The stuntman who fell off a moving truck. The opening sequence includes a shot of a police decoy being ejected from the back of a moving vehicle. That was not digital effects. A stuntman took the fall. The truck was doing 25 to 30 miles an hour. The landing surface was a road. The only cushioning was one plank of plywood. One plank, at speed, on concrete. Bay discussed it on the DVD commentary, with something between pride and genuine disbelief. The shot worked. It looks extraordinary. It also required a human being to fall from a moving truck onto a road with almost nothing to break the impact. Fast editing means you feel it rather than process it. Bay knew exactly what he had. Bay still hadn't finished finding ways to make something out of nothing. Fact 19 involves 90 minutes of argument and 15 minutes of light. Fact 14, the shot born from desperation that defined a career. Watch the moments in Bad Boys when something heroic happens. Watch what the camera does. It circles the characters, slowly, the world rotating around them, an ordinary moment becoming something cinematic. That 360-degree tracking shot appeared in Michael Bay's first feature and never left his work. It's in The Rock, in Armageddon. Throughout the Transformers films, it became so synonymous with Bay that film critics now reference it as a defining element of his visual language. It started here, not as a grand statement, as a young director finding what felt instinctively right under enormous pressure with a camera he knew from years of commercial work. The circular shot wasn't inherited. It emerged from desperation, a director trying to make cheap sets look expensive and two TV actors look like movie stars. Fact 15. Miami didn't host the film, it became it. The precinct where Marcus and Mike work, the desks, the chaos, the captain's office, was never a police station. The production couldn't build one, so they took the second floor of the Alfred DuPont building in downtown Miami and dressed it. The drug lab in the film was a genuine freighter docked on the Miami River. The climactic airport sequence was filmed at the real facility Bay had paid out of his own pocket to use. The police precinct scenes used actual buildings in Coral Gables and South Beach, lit and framed to look like something they weren't. Miami didn't host the film. It became the film. The city's real bones were given a fictional skin for the duration of the shoot. A tight budget forced invention. Nothing was built. Everything was real. That's why it feels that way. A stuntman fell off a moving truck with one plank of wood to break his fall. A camera move born from desperation became a career signature, and nothing you've seen on screen was built, any of it. Drop a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. Fact 16, the basketball player who was already a bad boy. John Sally appears in the film as Fletcher, the thick-framed hacker doing an illegal favor for Marcus and Mike.
Man, you don't sit your lanky down. Bottom line, I will knock you the out.
Sally wasn't just any NBA player. He was a Detroit Piston, one of the original bad boys. The Detroit Pistons, whose nickname, earned through their physically aggressive, intimidating, sometimes brutal style of play, was the Bad Boys. A man from the real Bad Boys in the film called Bad Boys. The general audience had no idea. The Pistons were one of the most feared teams in NBA history. Sally was part of those championship sides. He returned for Bad Boys 2, came back for the fourth film, and is now the franchise's longest running cameo. A real bad boy embedded in the screen version for over 2 decades. Fact 17, the Denny's line that wasn't just a joke. Early in the film, Marcus tells Mike he won't eat at Denny's. The scene moves on. It wasn't a throwaway. Through the early 1990s, Denny's was fighting a string of discrimination cases brought by black customers across America. Refusals of service, different treatment, documented, widely known. The name carried specific meaning in American public life. Smith and Lawrence were given room to bring their real experience into the script. For viewers who followed the news, pointed social commentary. For those who didn't, just a quick moment between partners. Same line, two completely different films. Fact 18, what was actually in that urinal? The bathroom fight scene, Marcus, a henchman, a urinal. The production had to fill it with something convincing on camera. Bay's solution, Gatorade and Coca-Cola, mixed to hit the right shade. Practical, cheap, completely invisible on screen. The stunt performer wasn't subjected to anything genuinely unpleasant. The shot looked right. Bay moved on. A tiny detail, a problem nobody in the audience ever thinks about, solved in an afternoon. That's filmmaking. Fact 19, Smith refused. Bay gave up, then magic happened. Will Smith agreed to say the line. Then he changed his mind. The ending of Bad Boys has Mike telling Marcus he loves him. Bay wanted it. He felt it was the emotional core of everything the two characters had been through. Smith had agreed, 3 days before shooting the finale. On the day itself, he refused. What followed was approximately 90 minutes of argument, played out while the cast and crew waited. Bay believed the line was necessary. Smith disagreed. Neither moved. The sun tracked across the Miami sky, and the shooting window shrank. Time ran out. Bay threw his hands up and said he didn't care anymore. Smith thought about it. Then he said,
"On me looking at me, I said, yeah, I love you. I said that shit."
You my boy.
One take, into the last of the light, it made the final cut. The film's most honest moment came from a director throwing his hands up and walking away. Fact 20, the theme song that happened by accident. Over budget, behind schedule, running out of daylight. Smith and Lawrence were arguing. The script wasn't landing. The mood was fraying. In the middle of a car scene, with everything coming apart, Lawrence stopped trying to make the scripted moment work, and he started singing.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come?
Smith joined in. The tension broke. The energy shifted. Bay kept the cameras running. That 30-second improvised moment, two men abandoning the film entirely and just playing, became the most quoted scene in the franchise's history. Not because it was planned, because it wasn't. Fact 22 is coming up. It changes everything. Don't leave. Fact 21, the man who made it happen was dead in 8 months. Don Simpson produced Bad Boys. His fingerprints were on every chaotic corner of it. The Vegas trip that killed the original casting, the 85-page notes that nearly broke Bay, and the bodyguard he quietly put in the film as a villain. Simpson was there for all of it, and then he wasn't. Bad Boys opened on the 7th of April, 1995. It went to #1. It was Columbia Pictures' highest-grossing film of that year. Don Simpson was found dead in the bathroom of his Bel Air mansion on January 19th, 1996, 8 months and 12 days after the film he had helped create opened in first place. The autopsy found 21 different drugs in his system: antidepressants, stimulants, sedatives, tranquilizers, cocaine. His doctor, employed to help him get clean, had already died of an overdose in Simpson's own pool house the previous summer. The police found 2,200 prescription pills in his bedroom closet, lined up in alphabetical order. Bruckheimer had ended their partnership in December 1995, 6 weeks before Simpson died. The Rock, their final film together, was still in production. It was dedicated to Simpson's memory. He saw one weekend of box office results, one #1 opening, and then he was gone. The man whose chaos accidentally made the film better never got to see how far it went. Fact 22 is next, the one that connects 4 men, 2 films, and a photograph nobody planned. Which fact floored you most? Drop it below. Fact 22, the full circle, nobody ever joined up. When Bulletproof Hearts collapsed at Disney, the project passed over Eddie Murphy, Wesley Snipes, and Arsenio Hall before landing on Smith and Lawrence. 3 men walked away from a film that became one of the most enduring action franchises Hollywood has ever produced. Decades later, Smith and Lawrence returned to Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta to film Bad Boys for Life. On the adjacent soundstage at the exact same time, Murphy and Snipes were filming Coming to America. All 4 men, same building, same week. The 4 people most shaped by that single casting decision, the ones who made it and the ones who didn't, were back under the same roof without planning it. Smith posted a photograph. He later said nobody could get any work done. They kept wandering over. Think about what that photograph actually is. 4 men whose entire careers were redirected by one decision made in a room in the 90s. The franchise built on rejections brought every one of the rejected men back to the same place. And the man who started all of it, whose Vegas trip killed the original casting, whose chaos accidentally made the film better, never lived to see any of it. Simpson never saw what came next. He never saw the sequels. He never saw the photograph. He never saw what he'd accidentally built. None of it was arranged. The universe just closed the loop without the one man who deserved to see it. Bad Boys should not have worked. Wrong stars, wrong script, wrong budget, a director nobody believed in, and an ending that only exists because that director wrote a personal check. And yet, from the chaos came chemistry, from the arguments came honesty. Strip away the explosions, and what this film is really about is two people who drive each other absolutely mad and would die for each other without hesitation. None of it was written down. It was found in real time on a sweating Miami shoot where almost nothing went to plan. None of it should have worked. All of it did. Which fact changed the way you see it? Drop it in the comments. And if you know a film from the 80s or 90s with secrets this dark, tell us below. This is Rewatch Vault. We'll be back.